The Pacific Ocean, once a tropical paradise, turned into a theater of total destruction in the year 1941. The most massive naval war in history unfolded here, claiming the lives of 3 million military personnel and destroying 3,000 ships. At the center of these battles were giant warships, each carrying a vast amount of weapons, fuel, and ammunition. Among these ships was Lady Fortune, a codename based on the characteristics of the Lexington and Juno-class aircraft carriers. This vessel was one of the most advanced and deadly in the Allied fleet. Its length exceeded 900 feet, and its internal structure was literally packed with danger. On board, more than 60 military aircraft could be stationed, ready to launch at any second. In addition to its massive air wing, Lady Fortune carried 40 anti-aircraft guns, reinforced armor, and a complex network of fuel lines that transported 140,000 gallons of aviation gasoline. This ship was not just a floating airfield, but a huge mobile warehouse of explosives and fuel, where a single hit could trigger catastrophe. At the beginning of the war, Lady Fortune became a symbol of hope for the Allies. But by May of 1942, it was set to confront superior Japanese naval forces moving southward and threatening Australia. Half a year later, the situation became even dangerous. By November of 1942, American command understood that the upcoming battle would be unequal. The Japanese fleet had greater firepower, and the looming engagement was seen as a potential one-way mission. The battles in the Coral Sea took place under near-total confusion. Ships crossed each other's wakes, the flashes of guns lit up the water, and nighttime attacks turned orderly fleet formations into chaos. In the midst of one such battle, the flight deck, made of thin steel, could not withstand the impact. The bomb pierced the deck, passed through several internal compartments, and exploded deep inside the hull. After the initial strike, the ship was badly damaged, but miraculously did not sink, and managed to move away from the combat zone. The crew immediately began repairs, confident that the worst was over. Many sailors even requested short shore leave, unaware that a delayed action bomb already hidden within the hull continued pulling the vessel toward destruction. Years later, while analyzing the blueprints of Lady Fortune, historians discovered its fatal weak point. When the bomb pierced the deck, it damaged part of the fuel lines. Through microscopic cracks, aviation fuel vapors began to seep into ventilation shafts, engine rooms, and narrow corridors. These invisible and deadly vapors gradually filled the ship's interior, turning the giant aircraft carrier into a massive time bomb. Despite the serious damage, the crew believed the ship was saved. Commanders reported a controlled situation. Firefighting teams continued cooling the hull and cleaning up the aftermath of the bombing. No one realized that inside the hull, pressure from the deadly fuel and air mixture was rapidly building. Soon, the first internal explosion occurred. It was relatively small and only disrupted the operation of several technical compartments, but it marked the beginning of a chain reaction. Fuel vapors continued to spread through the shafts, and with each passing hour, the aircraft carrier turned into a floating powder keg. Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the main explosion erupted. It was so powerful that later reports compared it to an underwater volcanic eruption. The shockwave tore through the hull, ripping it apart from the inside. The force of the blast bent the deck plates outward. Barriers shattered into pieces, and internal compartments turned into fiery chambers. Almost instantly, the ship was engulfed in multiple fires. Ammunition located near the epicenter began to detonate. Explosion after explosion rolled through the corridors and hangars. For many crew members, the ship became a living hell, where fire and flying debris left no chance for survival. The force of destruction split Lady Fortune into massive sections that drifted apart over a significant distance. Despite this, around 3,000 sailors managed to abandon the wrecked carrier and were rescued by other ships. Even after that, the United States Navy Command decided to scuttle the carrier completely to prevent it from becoming a danger. An escort destroyer nearby fired 5 torpedoes at Lady Fortune from close range. Partially filled with gases and carrying a huge load of ammunition and damaged fuel tanks, the ship exploded with such force that it was torn into 3 unrecognizable pieces. These fragments slowly sank into the depths of the Pacific Ocean, taking with them the secrets of the lost arsenal and the tragedy of those trapped inside. For decades, the remains of Lady Fortune, the site of her demise, remained unreachable for researchers, as the depth of 2 miles was far beyond the capabilities of divers and standard equipment. Only in the late 20th and early 21st centuries did technology emerge that could reach these dark depths. The search for the aircraft carrier became possible thanks to a grand mission funded by the late Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen. On board the research vessel Petrel, a team of experienced specialists worked under the leadership of submarine veteran Rob Kraft. The team had access to an autonomous underwater vehicle worth about $5 million. This device used the latest side-scan sonar capable of surveying the seafloor with precise detail. The search took several days. The apparatus swept square by square across a vast section of the ocean floor until its sensors detected a large anomaly. Initial analysis made it clear that the discovered object was not an underwater mountain or natural formation. It had distinct straight lines and outlines. Another key indicator was the discovery of numerous aircraft scattered over an area of several hundred feet. The team identified at least 7 aircraft, among them parts of the American bomber Devastator, one of the planes that had been on board the carrier. After that, the search mission moved to the next phase. A 3-ton remotely operated vehicle, or ROV, equipped with manipulators, floodlights, and a high-resolution video system, was lowered to the depths. Its body was made of titanium and capable of withstanding pressure more than 500 times that at the surface. When the vehicle's camera switched on, the team saw something no one had seen since the Second World War. In front of them lay piles of wreckage, airplane wings, destroyed turrets, fragments of the deck, and parts of hangar elevators. Among them, the outlines of a massive hull could be seen. On one of the metal plates, the equipment detected the letters LEX, confirming the ship's origin, much like during the search for the USS Juno, when it was identified by the letters UNE. The specialists aboard the Petrel became the first people to see Lady Fortune since the day it disappeared into a fiery hell and sank beneath the waves. Everything around it seemed frozen in time. The wreckage lay as if the battle had happened yesterday. Marine organisms covered the metal, but the ship's contours still retained their former power. Video cameras recorded the damage that definitively confirmed the carrier had been destroyed by a monstrous internal explosion that tore it into massive sections. Using high-resolution scanning, researchers were able to observe Lady Fortune in all its tragic scale. The enormous carrier hull was ripped into 3 giant sections, each resting hundreds of feet apart. This sight confirmed the most destructive theory of its demise. The bow bore marks of a bomb strike. This supported the theory that it was fuel vapors and ammunition that triggered the cataclysm that tore the ship apart. The ROV cameras revealed an extensive debris field. Pieces of armor, torn away gun mounts, destroyed aircraft, fragments of deck structures. Some sections of the hull were twisted like a tin can, crushed by a giant hand. The explosion had been so powerful that internal bulkheads were ripped out completely, and multi-ton structures were hurled dozens of meters away. This chaos of metal stood as a silent witness to the force that consumed the ship in its final moments. The loss of Lady Fortune ultimately was not just the sinking of a single vessel. It was an event that altered the strategic situation of the entire region. The Japanese fleet, fearing another strike by the carrier, decided to retreat. Their invasion force never again dared return to the Coral Sea, and that hesitation became a critical mistake. In the post-war years, Lady Fortune became a reminder of how vulnerable even the most advanced warships can be. Its powerful weaponry, vast air fleet, armor, and size could not protect it from the most dangerous threat, its own reserves of fuel and ammunition. This aircraft carrier became an example of how catastrophe can come from within when a single breach triggers a chain reaction. Today, as deep-sea cameras once again show her remains, They tell a story in details unknown even to those who fought the war. On the seabed lie aircraft, torn turrets, twisted fragments of the ship's steel body, all serving as evidence of the destructive force that ripped it apart. Lady Fortune remains forever in the Coral Sea as a silent monument to the fragility of war machines and the price people pay for war. Her destruction became a lesson, a reminder that technology and power do not make a ship invulnerable, and that war always finds a weakness. Today, she rests in the darkness of the ocean as a warning and a memory of those who died with her, and of how a single battle can alter the course of history.